Natapos na yung video at lahat-lahat. Hindi ko pala naintindihan actually.
So, hi Besh.
Hello.
So, naisip ko lang, no? Kasi nabanggit natin yung LDR last time, di ba? Tapos, bigla naalala ko, may nilabas na series sa Jollibee ng, nung for Valentine's nga. May isa doon, LDR. So, na-curious ako, para inisip ko lang, why not panoorin natin siya together? Tingnan natin kung paano nila dinipict yung LDR.
Wala ako actually napanood dun.
Edi perfect.
So this is gonna be the first time that I'm gonna see this.
Yeah. Because, curious lang ako how they, depicted yung LDR. So, okay. Game.
Ikaw talaga, lagi ka talagang curious sa LDR.
Love,
Ganun talaga.
can you hear me? What do I think of long-distance relationships? Definitely not for me. I mean, is it even a real relationship?
Erica,
Oh?
that's you.
Sige, sunod ako ah.
Sino yan?
Ano na naman tayo? Paingsak ka naman. Walang trust. Dahil wala kang pinanghahawakan.
May pinanghuhugutan ba si ate?
And no matter how
Kaya
often
nga
you talk, it's just talk. Walang actions.
Teka, pause. Parang ang nega ni ate, no?
Bakit parang ang bitter nung other girl? I mean, nung nagpapaalam yung office mate niya dun sa boyfriend online,
Yeah.
parang walang trust.
Yeah.
Bakit ganun siya?
Agad.
Na-curious ako, parang, ano ba, pinagdaanan din kaya niya yun. Kaya, ganun siya.
I think, oo. I think may pinagdadaanan siguro siya. Okay, game.
Sige.
At pagkatapos ng lahat ng to, mag-isa ka pa rin. Kaya ako, I promised myself, never ako magkaka-LDR.
Nako. Sabi nga nila, di ba, never say never?
Sabi ni Justin Bieber.
Pero ramdam ko yung sinabi niya, mag-isa ka pa rin.
Yeah, right. Dahil sa ayaw at sa gusto ko, nagka-LDR ako. Lockdown relationship.
Never say never nga daw kasi
Sino ba
si
yung girl
ate.
na comment sa post mo?
She's just a coworker.
Oh.
Why? So there's nothing to worry about. I love you.
Hindi ko kaya. Ayoko na yata. Paano ka magmamahal kung hindi kayo nagkikita?
I miss you.
Lalo kung nasanay ka ng laging nandyan siya.
Dali Feeling ko para may gusto ko sabihin eh.
Natatawa ako. Na-imagine kasi kita.
Bakit ako? Why me?
Hindi ko alam. Na-imagine kita nung nagtititigan sila sa screen.
Why me? Because tayong dalawa yung nagtititigan sa screen?
Siguro. Got my body shaking. Hindi ko alam. Sige, play.
Pero 'di ba? Pag mahal mo, hindi ka susuko.
Ala.
Kakapit ka lang. I love you. Lalaban ka lang.
Kamukha nung girl si Nadine.
Diyan sila.
Oo, medj.
Kanina, nung nakahiga siya.
May Jollibee delivery po kayo.
Uy, may note. Our favorite meal. Aww. Wear your favorite dress daw.
Surprise, babe!
Sweet naman.
Naman naman, babe.
Parang gusto ko tuloy ng Jollibee.
Ako rin.
Uy.
Cheers.
Para-paraan.
Babe, you have the stats.
I take one step away, and I find myself coming back.
Ito medyo natatawa na ako sa point na.
Kasi diba, ganun ang nagmamahal. Kahit malayo, kahit mahirap, ang mahalaga, pipiliin at pipiliin mo pa rin siya.
May ganon.
My one and only, one and only.
Oh.
Wow. Find strength in love.
Distance
Ay.
means nothing daw.
Oo nga. Alam mo, nung sinabi mo kanina, naalala mo ako doon. Doon sa note pa lang, sure na hindi na ako yun. Kasi, wear your favorite dress daw, dress. Besh. Do I look like somebody?
Sa ngayon, kasi single ka pa, and nobody's gonna tell you na, to wear a pretty dress for me, please. Mga ganyan. So, don't, never say never.
Never
Sabi
say
nga nung
never.
ate. Oo.
Pero gusto ko
Diba?
yung ano niya, gusto ko yung take niya, napapanahon. Talaga si Jollibee, mga nilalabas nilang video. Hindi, pero ang galing nung ano nila,
nag-crave
magaling
ako
yung
ng
team
Jollibee.
nila. Oo. Tsaka yung lockdown relationship. So, itong pandemic talaga is not just
Singles.
difficult for singles. It's also difficult for couples din, syempre, kasi they can't see each other as much as they used.
Not really. I mean, I think I mentioned it with another friend. Sabi ko nga, if naabutan kayo ng lockdown na like you're in a relationship na, I feel like yung hindi kayo masyadong limited. Hindi kayo masyadong restricted. Kasi kayo na eh. Kumbaga, you can still go out on dates kahit na sa car lang kayo. Nung earlier part of the pandemic.
Oh.
Kahit na car dates lang kayo, ganyan. Pero pag naabutan kayo nung pandemic and nung quarantine na dating in a sense na hindi pa kayo, you're not together, yun yung medyo mas mahirap. You're not required really to see each other as often as if you were together.
Pero I think kasi itong pinapakita niya dito is yung sa simula-simula pa lang. Yung alam mo yon as in lockdown talaga. Yung hindi ka talaga pwede lumabas ng bahay. Kahit sa car lang.
Pero ano ba, is the guy, ano ba, hindi ba, ang pagkaintindi ko, ayun na naman, mali na naman yung pagkakaintindi ko sa video. Ang akala ko, nag-LDR sila, hindi dahil sa pandemic. Like, he had to move somewhere because of a job.
Hindi, kasi
Hindi
sinabi
yung
niya lockdown relationship eh.
Mm.
Yun yung definition niya ng LDR eh, lockdown relationship. So, I'm guessing.
Yun pala.
Yun.
Mali na naman. Kasi hindi ko na feel na na parang darating sila dun sa point na ganun. I don't think they're gonna be that restricted na hindi talaga sila magkikita.
Hindi, yun nga. Sa simula nga, di ba talaga, as in bawal talaga lumabas ng bahay. As in yung pinapadalahan tayo ng dito, pagkain.
Ayuda.
Oo. Yun, feeling ko yun, yung early
Hindi
stages.
ko na kasi masyado maalala yun. Ano ba?
Feeling ko
Ang tagal
yun.
na kasi 1 year na.
Oo,
Yun
feeling ko
pala
yun. Kasi syempre, kung
Okay.
everyday kayo nakikita in person, di ba? Tapos bigla sasabihin, you can't go out of the house. Eh, paano na? Pero, ewan ko for me, medyo may pagka-bitter nga talaga siya sa simula. Sobrang nega
Diba?
niya. Oo.
Pero hindi naman ganun. It didn't turn out naman na it's something she experienced in the past. Pero, bakit ganun yung niya? Ba't ganun yung attitude niya?
Maybe sa friends niya. Talaga in-analyze natin, pati yung wala dito sa video.
Hindi kasi ang bitter nung pagka-execute eh.
Baka sa friends kasi niya. Baka na-experience, na kwento sa kanya or what, we don't know. Maybe. Kaya nga, you never know until it happens to you. Until you find the right
Yeah.
person. Where, according to Jollibee, distance means nothing.
Is that what you're waiting for?
I think we're all waiting for that. So, if that happens, no, not if, when it happens, I will let you know.
Brace yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. As a reaction to the video, sorry talaga kasi hindi ko na-gets yung ano niya. Hindi ko na-gets yung context. Natapos na yung video at lahat-lahat. Hindi ko pala naintindihan actually. So, sige. Kung given na, as you mentioned, na it was in the earlier phase of the lockdown, the quarantine, I can relate naman to the part na parang, since you can't see each other personally, order na lang kayo food together and then you can talk while eating ng sabay, ganyan. Pero yung part na may sumasayaw pa sila, yun yung medyo parang sobra na yun, parang over the top na yun sa akin. Medyo, I feel na parang medyo unnecessary na yung part na yun. So, ano pang masasabi mo sa issue ng LDR?
I agree with your point that when you're already together and then the pandemic, the lockdown happened, it's probably easier in a sense than if single ka and you're still like in the process of looking for that
and getting to know
person. Oo. Feeling ko it just boils down to how much you want that person and how much you think that person is worth it. Kasi, 'di ba, sabi nga nila, kung gusto, maraming paraan. Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan.
Then again, I would say, I think nga LDR is not for everybody. Which
Yeah,
nabanggit
oo.
din.
Oo.
Na kasi hindi naman lahat ng tao okay with the setup na you don't see the person, you don't get to touch the person, 'di ba? And then if it so happens pa na different, you live in different time zones, then that's another factor to consider.
Alam ko na,
Kasi
Besh.
it's so hard to communicate.
I know, Besh. Alam ko ng solusyon dyan. You need to find somebody with the low physical touch love language din.
So it's you.
I know.
It's really for you. LDR is really for you.
I know. Hindi. I mean,
confirmed. I have another concern with regard to the LDR setup. Kasi nga hindi ba magiging concern, I guess, yung trust.
Di ba pinakita rin dito yung sinabi niya? Oo. Yung sinabi rin niya na sino ba yung comment ng comment.
O yun nga. O paano? Okay lang sa'yo yun.
I firmly believe that trust is the basis of any relationship. So, of course, with that said, mahirap pa din nga, even if sabihin natin, grabe yung trust mo dun sa boyfriend mo or dun sa girlfriend mo, but there will be moments when yung mind mo, it will wonder kung ano yung ginagawa ng significant other mo, di ba? Pero I guess na doon na nga talaga papasok yung trust. Kung anong level ba ng trust nyo sa isa't isa.
Do you think it's gonna be easier if you knew each other and then he had to transfer somewhere else? Like he had to move to another country maybe for a job versus meeting him totally from online. Would that be a factor in terms of building trust?
I think may impact din naman yun. Kasi of course, you've seen how he is with other people in person eh. So, versus if you've only like met them online.
Yeah, like you never met anybody. He knows his friends, his
and
family maybe, di ba? Wala ka totally idea.
And you haven't seen how he treats the people around him, di ba? Kasi that says a lot about the person as well. So, I guess it definitely has an impact, but again, I can't say for sure because it depends on the dynamics of the relationship din talaga and the trust that they have with each other. If it's still in the early stages of the relationship and if trust is not built
there,
yeah, well, maybe it's there, but it's not yet, firm. hindi pa siya solid, then that would be an issue.
But paano nga mabibuild yung trust na yun?
I think you have to be open with each other. Like, for example, parang sabihin mo, yun nga, I have trust in you.
Akala
Be
ko,
nice.
I have trust issues.
Hindi, I have trust in you. But it would be better if you could do this. Make suggestions, like how he or she can make you feel more secure sa relationship ninyo. Kasi kung hindi mo sasabihin, paano niya malalaman, di ba?
Mm. Well, I guess it falls in the category na iba talaga when you communicate openly.
Yeah.
So even if feeling mo minsan something is a given or parang default naman yan, common sense lang, ganun. Pero apparently, it's not as common as we think.
Yeah,
So, oo, gets ko naman when you said na parang you have to bring it up. I'm wondering if, di ba kasi yung trust issues, ini-imagine ko kasi if I were in that position. And parang naisip ko na if it so happens that this guy, for example, has a different lifestyle. Sabihin natin, he's not overly extrovert and you're not overly introverted.
Okay.
But then, he is more outgoing than you are. And you choose to spend most of your time at home, and he is the type who chooses to spend his time maybe outdoors. So the probability of him interacting with not just men but also women, mataas. May difference kaya yun?
Feeling ko, oo. You would be more suspicious of him than he is of you. Kasi ikaw nasa bahay ka nga lang.
Ayun na nga. But then, yun na nga ang hirap sa LDR. Like, there's really no way of knowing. You don't really have an idea of his lifestyle. Like, you don't know his workmates. You don't know his friends. You don't know anybody else aside from him.
Hindi, pero ganito. Ano ba pinag-uusapan niya pag nag-uusap kayo? Does he talk about his workmates? Does he talk about... Kasi pwede naman, you don't know them, but you've heard of them. So, I guess parang din yun, warning na rin yun pag if he doesn't share that part of his life with you or if parang masasense mo naman yun eh. Kaya mahirap sabihin kasi hindi tayo yun eh.
Yeah. If you are gonna be in a long distance relationship setup, for as long as you can mimic yung usual na activities or I think the usual conversations of, for example, you are physically together, mas magiging okay siya. Versus, parang the two of you live in a bubble, like in this screen. What if, scammer pala siya? A joke.
Wow! Iba na yun.
I've been burned. Or baka you can also parang, pag nag-uusap kayo, parang hindi na masyadong isolated na it's just you and him. Like, you can go, say hello to ganto, say hello to ganyan, di ba?
And I think you can make things exciting then by, di ba, there are a lot of apps out there right now that allows you to play with them. Di ba, maraming ganon. Para,
Kala ko you will dance eh.
Hindi, di ba? Para maiba naman. Or if you're gamers, if both of you are gamers, or kahit na hindi gamers, basta you're willing to play, tapos meron kang, I don't know, internet connection, laptop, whatever, you can play together din naman.
Yeah, or watch a movie together.
Yeah. Like, parang yung ginawa natin kanina, although that's not a movie, di ba?
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways naman that you can, do to make...
You're so sold on this LDR thing. I can just say.
No.
I can feel it.
No, kasi iniisip ko lang, di ba? Parang if you feel like that person is the right person na for you, parang kakayaan mo pa ba to let distance tear you apart?
So you can tell. Personal question to kung ikaw, you are sure. Hindi, ako may paki ako. Walang paki sa kanila. Ikaw very confident ka to say na pag ikaw yun, kahit na hindi mo pa siya nami-meet in person, you will come to a point na you can tell na siya na talaga.
Kung confident ako na sabihin yung ganun.
Mm-mm.
I don't think you can ever be like 100% confident naman.
Hindi,
in
meron
anything.
kasing confident in a way na you weigh what you know now and then you can confidently say na ganun. Siyempre, iba yung actual situation.
Ganito na lang. I am 100% confident that the person that God has allotted for me, I will meet this person whether via online or whatever. Mamimit
Or
at
crash
mamimit ko yun.
landing.
Oo, mamimit at mamimit ko yun. And I think
Bigla na lang mabubutas yung kisame niyo dyan.
and I
At siya na
think,
yung malalaglag.
yung pogi. Hindi. And I think, and I think when that time comes, when I meet that person, I don't know, I may have met him already, di ba? I think God will let me know naman. Yun na lang sabihin natin. Doon ako confident.
I saw that coming. I think I can predict the future.
Wow! Sige nga, sabihin mo nga sa akin. Wait. Masisira
Kailan?
naman yung ceiling
Kailan
namin
siya?
dito.
Nakikita ko ng mga nasa mahal na araw. Isa dun sa mga araw na yun. Abangan.
Sige.
Abangan
Babalikan
mo.
kita. Babalitaan kita. Maglalagay na ba ako
Feeling
ng
ko,
dito?
babalik ka sa akin. For some reason, nabagsakan ng something yung bubong namin. Tapos nabutas. Kailangan namin pa-repair ngayon. Si Manong repairman pala yun.
Oo, si Kuya pala yun.
Kuya, where have you been all my life?
Ma'am, kasi ngayon lang nasira yung kisame.
Ano ba?